Welcome back to Mountain Connections. Right now we have important information about the child tax credit that you need to know. Joining us from Squire and Company is Jill Otley. Jill, thanks for being here. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So up first, there are some child tax credit payments coming in July. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So a lot of people have heard about these advanced child tax credit payments, and they're part of some larger changes that are happening with the child tax credit this year. Most people are familiar with the child tax credit. It's probably the most used tax credit in the United States. So in the past couple of years, it's been $2,000 per child, but there's an increase for 2021 only at this point. So it's now $3,000 for children ages 6 through 17 and $3,600 for children who are under the age of 6 as of the end of 2021. And whereas usually this tax credit is just available on when you file your tax return next April, due to COVID, and it's one of those relief efforts that the administration has put forth to have these advanced payments this year. So starting July 15th and on about the 15th every month through the end of the year, through December, families will be receiving half of the total payment. So a family, for example, that has one child, age 5, would receive a payment of $300 a month, or a total of $1,500 between now and December. So half of their total $1,800 payment. I have to think about that. So, or it would be a total of $1,500 if they have the $3,000 credit, a total of $1,800 if they have the $3,600 credit. So.
And I understand there's even more changes to the child tax credit. I'd love to hear about those as well.
Sure. So aside from the increase in the advance payments, it used to be that children ages 17 didn't qualify for the child tax credit. They qualified for the other dependent credit, a credit of $500. But in 2021, if you have a child who's 17 on 12/30/21, they're considered a child and qualify for the $3,000 tax credit. Another thing is that this tax credit for 2021 is fully refundable. In other words, if for families who don't owe a lot of tax or owe no tax, they will still receive the whole amount of the credit through advance payments, and then at tax time, the other half of it.
Is there a potential, though, that this could increase your 2021 tax bill?
Yeah, that's a really important issue for people to consider, especially families who have some changing dynamics, whether their income is changing from 2020 to 2021. If they have higher income, it might not qualify for the higher amount of credit, or if they're going to claim a fewer amount of dependents in 2021 than they did in 2020. Another example is a family that maybe there's joint custody, right? So a different parent is claiming them in 2020 versus 2021. So all these things kind of factor in. But overall, families, say nothing changes and they have the same amount of income, the same amount of dependents, because even though the overall tax credit has increased because they're receiving half of it in advance, there will actually be a little bit less available to them come April than a year ago. So, and again, overall, it's a larger tax credit, but there'll be less of that left over come April 15th of next year.
So exactly who does qualify for this child tax credit?
So for single filers, those who make $75,000 gross income or less qualify for the full increased credit. And for married filing jointly filers, $150,000 gross income or less, they'll qualify to receive the whole advanced payments and the increased amount. The other limits haven't changed. $200,000 to $400,000 is kind of the level that the $2,000 amount breaks, people above those income thresholds don't get the child tax credit. But so just the advance portion, the $1,000 extra, the $1,600, that phases out for singles at $75,000. Those who make a little bit more than that, it'll phase out, so they'll get a little bit less, and same $150,000 for married filing joint.
And does it make a difference if you've had some big life changes within that past year, such as having a baby, moving, getting married? What do you need to know if that has happened as far as this is concerned?
Right. Again, it's really important for families with those type of changes to be aware that, they might want to opt out of these advance payments, and that's an option that can be done at irs.gov. And the reason being that, again, they don't want to get these advance payments and then end up having a larger tax bill come April. And that's an important distinction, I think, that people need to know between these advance payments and the economic impact payments that they received in the last couple of years. So with economic impact payments, if a family received those, if a taxpayer received those, and then ended up not qualifying when they filed 2020 their 2020 taxes, they weren't required to repay it. There was no repayment feature to that. But that's not the case with these child tax credits. What happens on your 2021 tax return could mean that you have to pay more. Alternately, say a family has a new baby in 2020, and obviously the IRS doesn't know that yet, but that baby would qualify for these payments as well. So again, it's $300 a month if your child is 5 or under, and it's $250 a month. I think I might have misstated that earlier, for children ages 6 through 17. So in order to report this additional child that you're going to claim, a new birth or just another, if you're switching who's claiming the children, you can report that on irs.gov as well. And so, people should be aware of that. That they might want to take control and either opt out of payments or provide additional information on a new dependent, because for whatever you qualify for, whether you get the advance payments or use it all on your tax return, it's all available to you, right? So if you don't get the advance payments, you'll get the full amount in April. But if you get amounts now that you don't qualify for in April, that might be a problem. You're going to owe additional tax.
And where can we find more information about you? If we have more questions about this child tax credit, if we're concerned about perhaps scams, or we want to know if this will continue in subsequent years, how can we reach out to you and continue this conversation?
Sure. So I work at Squire in Orem, and we also have offices in Salt Lake. And also, information is available at irs.gov. And I would just say in regards to that, with anything like this, there's going to be bad players who come up with scams, ways to get people's personal information and cause havoc. So taxpayers should really be wary about anything that they receive that's asking for personal information. The IRS does not send things asking for personal information. What families should have received who are expecting to get these payments is a letter. It's on White House letterhead. It's signed from Joe Biden, and it gives them an estimated amount of what their advance payments will be. So that's the one piece of information that is legitimate. But for additional information, again, don't click on emails or respond to phone calls asking for personal information. You should always go to irs.gov. The other website they've made available is childtaxcredit.gov that has some really good, easy to understand information, including some example scenarios, which I think are really helpful to kind of see how this really plays out. And you can kind of find yourself, how do I fit in? How is this going to work for me?
Thank you so much, Jill Otley, for joining us today. We appreciate this important information about the child tax credit. And for more information about Jill, you can head to squire.com. We'll be back right here on this Business Wednesday right after this.